Alright, we're in business. So, yeah, if we look at this folder in Imports API Promos, so this represents a collection called Promos in the database. So what I'm going to do is just copy and then paste. So I get a copy of that, and then I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to rename that to be reports.
Yep.
So I'm going to create a collection called reports, and I've got a bit of renaming to do. So in here, what's all this about? Update imports for reports. No. So I'm going to call it reports, and I'm going to take out pretty much all of this just as a starting point. I'll leave that created app and updated app. Reports. So that's that. And then this one. That should do for that. And then in this test one, I'm going to reference reports. From .schema. What I'm going to do is replace promo with report.
Makes it better, quicker.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, a bit quicker. In fact, can we undo that? I'm going to do a replace. And I'm going to make it, this little thing here allows you to make it case sensitive.
Yep.
So if I do that, then you'll see that there may be cases where there's actually it wasn't that, it was this one I think. Let me undo it. This one, which basically says if it finds promo with a lowercase and you've got this on, then it'll also fix it, but it'll make report with the lowercase as well. So if I run that, then you see, so actually it didn't work, did it? So promo, well, I'll just go the hard way then. Report like that. Okay. Alright, in server publications, I'm going to do the same thing, replace it. Report. And then in methods, I'm just going to get rid of that for the moment because it's kind of irrelevant. Alright, so I've basically gone through, there's no methods test, there's a schema, which is really simple for the moment. I've just got an ID and a created app. So what I'm going to do is find where promos, this file needs to be referenced, so I'll just find where it's, I think it's in Register API. So you see each collection has to be registered just in like an index file as it were, so that it finds it. So if I change this one to be reports, Alright, so everything will be happy there. And let's say that I run in my terminal, I will run up npm run debug.pa. And that will run itself up. I'll just go to the bathroom while that's building. 1 minute.
You're right. Any of it? Hello. Hey Pete, can you make me a coffee, please? Can you please make me a coffee?
Alright, that's still building. Okay, almost there. Oh, address already in use. Okay. I've got another process that needs to be running somewhere. Let's kill that. Alright, so it's got an error saying report schema is not defined. Can you read that okay? It's not too small for you?
No.
Okay,
All
cool.
good.
Alright, so if I go back to VS Code and then look for report schema. Yeah, so it was called promo schema. We didn't catch that one. Alright, cool. So that should then build okay. That's good. That's happy. It also tells you that actually we've got an ignoring duplicate publish name promo. So we've got a in the publications we've probably missed one as well.
Yeah, promo there. And the one above it.
Yeah. I think that one's actually redundant, or is it? Need to publish all that.
Thank you.
I'm going to take that one out because I don't think that's actually... Oh, well no, it works. Yeah. Alright, so these publications are basically for the front end. So the front end can subscribe to all reports, or it can subscribe to an individual report, but it needs to pass the ID if it does that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty simple default stuff. So again, that should then be happy in the compiler. And that's kind of good because it tells you that it's being imported okay, and then we haven't got any errors in it. So we've just gone through that sort of first stage of, constructing an empty thing.
Yep.
All right, so let's have a look at what I might do is actually kill the app itself. And I'm going to run this thing called npm run test integration watch, and I think I have debug on it as well. So basically it runs it in debugging mode. Right? It doesn't like that. Did you mean one of these? There isn't a debug one. That's there by default. In fact, let me create one of the right. Oh, in fact, let me just do a git status first, and this is kind of important. So I'm actually in the right place. So my current branch is develop.
Yep.
And this is telling me that I've modified that register API, and then this folder is new. So what I'm going to do is go, so git checkout, I say -b, and that creates a new one. I'm going to call this reports.
Yep.
Okay, and then I'm going to do a git add of that imports API reports. One of the things that iTerm does that you may or may not be aware of is if you highlight something like that, it copies it to the clipboard, and then you can paste it in straight away.
Yep.
Kind of convenient. So I'll do that, and then I'll say starting to define reports collection. I need to, and git is kind of nice, and it says you need to do this. So I do that. Alright, it's happy, and then I have a whole bunch of shortcuts, like S is git status for me, and then checkout, CO is git checkout, and so on. Those are things, and then I can do a P for push and a PU for pull. But I won't get into that. So if I do a git status, you see that we've got this origin reports. That's another file that I've been mucking around with. I could probably just get rid of that. So I might remove that file because it's not actually that important. So my git status now is pretty clean. That's good. I've created that. We know that it works of a fashion. So let's start making it more like a real thing. So let's say that I want to add in, the purpose of this is Jack and Yongfang are running a whole bunch of migration scripts and so on. And the problem with server-side scripts is that they run, but they don't tell anybody what they've done. So what I'm thinking is that we create a little collection called reports, and then they can write that information into effectively like a file, but it'll be a database record.
Yep.
So things like the created at, updated at are just things that come sort of for free. They're defined in this imports API schema. So if I go imports API schema, then you'll see that this created at is basically just a shortcut for a field that is of type date, and it's got an auto value, and it's the created at auto value, which is probably also defined here. That's a function to actually set, and it picks up if it's an insert, then it's a new date, if it's an upsert. So that's just a shorthand for another property. You could do it out again, but there's no need. Alright, so let's say that this is likely to be run by a user, so we'll create a field called user ID, and we'll say that this is, if I go back to this schema, in here there is this optional regex ID. So back here I'll import that from they're basically schema utilities, and I can say this user ID is an optional regex, so it's like an ID. Alright, what else will I want there? I will want a name for it, and that's just basically a string. And let's say that I have details, and that's another string. Simple as that, okay? So I create that, everything's happy. Meanwhile, this, what did I want to do? I wanted to edit that, and then I wanted another version of this with the debug on it. And I'm going to put in a debug on the front of that. Debug equals B2B. So when I run up this target, it's down here. Oh, I'm confused. That one. This one, test integration, watch debug. So that'll run up. And what that basically does is it looks for files in the file system with this .test.js on them, and it will run them. So if we look in this methods.test, there's nothing in there, so that's not going to do anything. This schema test thing will do some stuff, and I expect this to fail. Okay, let's just get that going on. I'll also say I've got a meeting in the city about 4:30, so I probably need to pack up stumps in about at about 10 to 4, so I can get ready and go. So that gives us just under half an hour.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, you could do a git checkout within the project, git checkout reports, and then you can do a git pull, and then you'll get the code that I've done so far.
Okay, so like I should go into the media app and just go git pull?
Yeah, do a git pull first, and then a git checkout reports, and then that'll get you in sync with me.
Yep.
Alright, that's up and running. So it's failed, and you see this error here where it says error factory. There is no factory called report. Alright, so we've got a problem. That's okay, we'll fix that and then we'll come back. Alright, what I'm going to do first is in this one here where it says describe reports, I'm going to put a describe.only on there. And what that does is it basically says you only run this test, you're going to ignore all the other ones because there are, I'm not sure, 200-300 tests and you don't want to run all of them every time. We're just focusing on working in here.
Yep.
Alright, so let's say that in here there's a thing called factory.
Yep.
And all this stuff may be a bit mind-boggling to start with, but you know we'll run through it and hopefully you kind of get what you need to along the way. And you can come back and watch the video if you want, or ask questions or what have you. Alright, so this imports test factories. Basically, the idea of a factory is it's a bit like a physical factory where it will turn out things for you. So you can say, give me a member, give me a session, give me a user, give me a report, for example. So let's go to that file. One of the great things about VS Code is that you can do Command P and then you can type in, now I've upset it, Command P, and then you can type in the name of a file and it'll give you a list of choices. So you don't necessarily need to dig around in the file system to find a file. So you see this one here is in imports test and it's like, yeah, that's the one I want. And then there's a whole bunch of definitions. So there's a factory definition for member and it uses the members collection and then it puts all this stuff, basically it gives you a whole bunch of data. Some of this is like hand created, but there's also some stuff like this Faker. Faker.js is a library that will give you data that looks like something real. So this one says faker.name. So I say to the faker library, give me a name. Find a name, and I think they're in categories. So there's a list of names. So you can ask for like surname, first name, full name, or you can say faker internet, give me an email address, and it'll give you something random that's not real. And that's kind of convenient because you get something as opposed to having to do something like this where we've got Ibrahim Flatley. The problem with using Gmail for any addresses is that there probably is someone in the world called Ibrahim Flatley. So it's generally not a good idea to use at gmail.com. You could say like at nomail.com, and in fact you might even say .bs for bullshit, for example. So the chances of there being somebody with this actual email address are pretty remote. And in fact you could even do another .bs, for example. So that will satisfy the validation rules, but there'll be nobody with that address. Now, it should never send that person an email, but just in case, it's a good idea to have something that's not real. All right, so meanwhile, let's import, so we've got this promos thing, and then the next one is that we do reports, and we get it from this reports directory. So this is now in scope, and what I can do is down here I can say, after the promo one, I'll copy that, and I'll say it's a report, and it uses the reports collection, and I'm going to get rid of all that stuff because looking back at the schema for it, which is here, then I've got user ID, which is optional, and I've got name and details.
Yeah.
So back in, oh, your battery just died. I thought you found your power cord. Are you still alive, or are you going to die?
Yep.
Still there?
I reckon I won't get it with me, but it's dead weird.
Sorry? Looks like you're frozen. Ellen? Okay. Do you need to move somewhere where you can use it? Or? Oh dear. All right. Yeah, sure. Well, look, I'll record a few more minutes of this video, and then when I need to go, I'll just upload it onto YouTube, and then meanwhile you can try and get some power going. Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. No worries. Bye. Okay, so back here in the schema itself, we've got name and details. So what we'll say, we'll put this is a report, and then we'll put the details in there, and we'll say this is the details of the report. Okay. So that's a little factory that gives us a report. Okay, so I'll save that one. I'll go to schema test, and in fact if I go back to here, let's see what's happened. it's complaining now that it can't, oh, it's a capital R I've done it with, so my import was wrong. Should have been a lowercase r. Let's try that, see what happens. It looks like that's running all of the tests in the world, so maybe I haven't saved this one with the describe.only in it. So if I save that, and then it'll run again. Alright, so it's only running the report stuff at the moment, which is cool. Okay, the tests are failing because it's basically stuff left over from the promos. So what I will do is so the idea is with this test, it's fairly simple, is that it has a list of good reports, and what it does is it runs through each of the good reports, and then it does a reports.insert using that good report and expects it not to throw an error. So I've initialized it with this OK report, but that's probably going to fail. I'll just get rid of that. Just make things simpler. So the good report says nothing, and then we say we've pushed one report into it from the factory. And if we've done our work properly in the factory, then we've given it name and details, and that should be okay. So this should work. And then we've got bad reports, and then what did I do here? I cloned the OK report. I'll do it. That's a little bit fancy. So say we've got bad reports. I'll do a similar thing here. So I'm going to say to the bad reports, I'm going to push a report from the factory, but that should actually succeed. So that's actually the bad reports should fail. Yeah, this one looks for the good report, and it's looking for name and details. Let's have a look at what that does. Alright, so it says that 2 reports have passed. There's some debug statement out here, so you can see this one. So it succeeds on good reports, that's fine. And then down here, it fails on the bad reports insert number 1. Basically it's saying it expects it to throw an error, and it's not, because we've given it good data. Alright, so what we need to do is give it some bad data. And the trick to do with the factory is that you can pass in an object, and the values in this object will override whatever comes from the report. So for example, I can say put in a name of null to that. So if the name is null, then it will actually throw an error because it's a bad report, but that's what we're expecting. So that should mean that both of our tests will pass if we do that. Okay, so it's basically saying that we've got 3 tests that pass. Let's give it another condition. So the first one is, let's just say, provide a report with no name, and it should not pass this schema. And then we'll do the same with no details. So we'll get rid of details, but the name will come properly from the factory. So if we run that, then we'll see that it compiles and it runs it. Alright, so far so good. Alright, I'm going to pause right there, and I'll do some more later and work out an assignment for you. So that's kind of a good step. Let me just commit those changes. Test for schema. Okay.